Welcome everybody. My name is Tank, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different on the channel. Now, moments ago from when I'm filming this now, thousands and thousands of people from all over the world just finished up watching day 2 of the long-awaited and highly anticipated live stream from Nightwish. And it was the first time I've ever seen them in a live setting. Now, of course, none of us were actually there, but it was live and I got to see the whole band play together. And originally, I was going to jump online and do my own live stream right when it ended, just to give you my thoughts and my reaction to everything. But I decided I would rather sit down and do this in video content so I can take my time and talk about a lot of stuff that I feel like talking about. And hopefully we'll cover some cool stuff for you. Now, we're going to be focusing more on the actual production of the show and the actual gear they were using rather than the songs and the set list itself. And there's going to be a lot of sections, and I'll break it up and put timestamps down, so if there's anything that you don't want to see or you feel is going to bore you, you can just skip over it. But I'm really excited to dive into this and check this out. So sit back, relax, enjoy, let's get it going. Now, the show itself was announced, I think, like a half a year ago, probably longer. But when it did get announced, I bought tickets immediately because I knew this was going to be the first time I would ever get to see Nightwish. And because of this pandemic, we've seen a lot of unique situations where bands have done live streams and a lot of bands are doing really cool stuff. And I was curious to see what Nightwish would do. So not only did I buy the 2-day pass for myself, I bought one for my dad and a bunch of other friends as well. Honestly, I probably spent $300 or $400 on tickets for this live stream. Nobody tell my wife that. But I don't say that to like gloat and be like, oh, look what I did for other people. I say that because I was so excited and I was so excited to share it with other people that it didn't bother me to do that. The show was billed as an Evening with Nightwish in a virtual world. And when they made the announcement, they said they were going to be doing it in a virtual venue that they were making up called the Islanders Arms. And right away, I thought that was really cool because a lot of other live streams I've seen over this pandemic have been just in rehearsal spaces, or the bands that did do it with green screen did a lot of really simple stuff. They did it kind of on a floor with a green screen backdrop, and that was about it. But this originally made it sound like it was going to be super, super high production and over the top. And I think it was, man. I think they delivered. At least for me, I haven't seen anything in the pandemic like this yet. So I haven't seen the statistics from this second day yet because it just ended. But the first day alone, they said there were people from 108 different countries watching, and it was over 150,000 people. And when I heard that number, I expected it to be high, but my mind immediately started going to like the server capabilities and stuff like that. And the most surprising thing to me when I was watching the show is none of it crashed. I did see online some people had problems with the show starting and they missed a couple songs, but at least from my end, I had no lag, no delay, no loss in quality, and I was insanely impressed with how they delivered this. And I honestly am not super up to speed with how these events get pulled off. The live streams that I've worked on with bands over the pandemic, we've pretty much done them at venues where they've had a camera crew there and a video truck outside where they've been streaming everything. But something like this, I assumed the crew was going to be massive. And at the end of the show, I sat and watched through the credits. And not even including the band themselves, there was over 60 individuals credited and probably another 20 companies or so. There was a lot of people involved in this. And with all those people, there's a lot of cost, man. One of the things I saw people talking about online was how much Nightwish like raked it in from these shows. But you got to think about all the costs that are involved in this. So let's just say a person watched the first day. Tickets for one show were 35 euros, and there was 150,000 people watching, approximately. Do the math, it's just over 5 million euros. Sounds like a lot of money. Sounds like all the band members made close to $1 million. But you got to think about all the costs that went into this. Paying the crew members, the video team, the sound team. I mean, and not even that. There's so much promotion involved. And it blows my mind how many people were involved in this. And when I think about it, they probably made way less money themselves as a band than they would doing a normal tour. Because on a normal tour, they've just got to pay for the buses, the trucks, their crew on the road. With this, there was so much more involved. So if there's anybody out there that thinks that Nightwish is making a killing off of this, really think about that, because I can almost guarantee you they're not. This was more for the fans and more for them to go over the top and deliver something special for the people that were missing seeing them. Before we go any further with this video, there is one interesting thing I want to talk about. Right when this Nightwish concert was announced, lots of people were asking me, are you going to live stream this on Twitch? That way people that may not be able to get a ticket can watch it, and then we can see your reaction to seeing them live for the first time. And honestly, from day one, my answer was always no. When you're dealing with a paid live stream like this, you're kind of flirting with illegal bootlegging. This is basically a live ticketed show. It's the same thing if you were going to go in person. They don't allow people to video the entire shows or reproduce it and sell it anywhere like that. So it's no different with this. Now, I was curious to see how many people were going to do that, or how many people were going to put it on YouTube for other people to watch. And honestly, I didn't search around too much, and I only saw a few reactors that threw stuff up on my feed. But before the second show, I saw Nightwish tweet saying that any material from this show that was uploaded to YouTube was going to be taken down. And they also specifically mentioned reactions and threatened copyright strikes. Now, it's interesting because I saw a lot of people discussing this online and a lot of people on YouTube saying it's unfair. And why do these publishers and why do these bands and labels always issue copyright strikes? Now, I've talked about this a lot, and this isn't the same situation at all to me. This is totally different from reacting to a music video that's already been put online. Again, this was a paid performance. It's bootlegging. That's what it is, honestly. And I'm curious after tonight to see how many reactors or how many people get into some trouble for uploading this, because you never know. Nightwish could be saving this for a future DVD release or Blu-ray release or something like that. The only way I think it would be cool for reactors or anybody to use this material is if they took one of these performances or one of these songs and uploaded it from their YouTube page. Because when we react to stuff, that's what we're doing. We're not using bootlegged material. We're usually going to those bands' channels where they've already released the material to the public and then doing the reaction. So I think it's totally appropriate for them to remove content and issue strikes in this specific situation, and I'm fine with it. The show took place in a virtual venue called the Islanders Arms, and obviously all Nightwish fans probably get the reference to the Islander with that. But it was really cool because it was developed to look like an actual venue space, and they did a fantastic job with it. I even heard some people saying there was an alternate browser where you could like look around the venue and find Easter eggs. I actually didn't know anything about that. So if there's anybody that found some other stuff or knows something about that, drop me some comments and tell me about it, because I honestly didn't hear about that until after the shows were over. But the set lists on both nights, I assumed were going to be a little bit different. And I was actually really surprised with the variety. Between the two sets, there were 21 different songs in total. And after the first night, I honestly thought the second night was going to be pretty much the same set list, with the exception of 2 or 3 songs maybe. But they actually changed out a lot more than that. I was actually on the Reacticide Discord server, which is a Discord server for a bunch of Nightwish fans from all over the place. And I was looking at the live chat, watching their reactions to when certain songs popped up. And there were definitely a lot of surprises, man. There were a lot of people that were just like, oh my God, I cannot believe they're playing this. And for me, as somebody who's never seen Nightwish before, it was great, man. All the songs I really expected to hear were in there. And then there was some that I really wanted to hear that were there too. I got to hear I Want My Tears Back. I got to hear Nemo. And then we got closing both nights with Ghost Love Score and The Greatest Show on Earth. Now on night 2, I'm not going to lie, after Ghost Love Score, there was a part of me that was expecting like, are they going to shock everybody now and do The Poet and the Pendulum? But I should have known better because they didn't. So the biggest challenge with this set list that everybody knew about is that Marco is now gone from the band. So the question on everybody's mind was going to be, how are they going to do this? How are they going to do some of these really popular songs that Marco sings on without him in the band? Is the new bass player going to sing? Is Troy going to sing all Marco's parts? Is Floor going to cover some of it? And the answer was, well, mostly two of those things. Floor covered a lot of it, and Troy covered a lot of it. I was shocked when Planet Hell started, which is a very Marco-heavy song, and Floor covered a bunch of his parts. It was truly impressive, man. It really was. I was really impressed with the way that Floor and Troy both covered for Marco's vocals mixing. Now, I might be crazy, but I feel like there were a couple songs where I did hear vocal tracks of Marco in the background for harmonies. Again, I might be wrong. I might be just used to hearing his voice on things, but I thought I did hear that. But overall, man, I was really impressed by how well this band handled everything vocally without having the guy that's been there as the second vocalist for years and years. It was highly impressive, again, and I think anybody could agree with that. I also loved the way that they were just set up in the live stream. You could see everybody at all times. You could see what everybody was doing, and they interacted with each other very well. I saw a lot of people online saying that they thought Nightwish looked stiff and really like they didn't know how to act and what they were doing in the first night. But honestly, I didn't see a ton of that. Now, yes, in the second night, they did look more relaxed because they got night one out of the way. They'd already done it once. They were confident going into the second one. But there were also a lot of people that were saying that, oh, I bet they were really, really nervous and they didn't know what to do. Guys, let me tell you something. This is a band that's been around for 20 plus years. These guys know what they're doing. I mean, it is a different setting. They're going into a big live stream, but this isn't new. These guys play together all the time, with the exception of Jukka coming in to play bass. But what I'm trying to say is they're all professionals. They weren't freaking out over anything, and I think they did a great job. Let's just get the elephant in the room out of the way first thing. Everybody going into this live stream was wondering who's going to be the bass player that's replacing Marco. Now, Nightwish had already announced this is not an official band member. This is going to be a session band member that's going to be doing touring and stuff with them until they decide what they're going to do full time. Now, there was a lot of hype to this. So much, in fact, that Nightwish's marketing team took advantage of that hype and even did VIP tickets to their live stream where you could get an hour early access to an interview with the new bass player so you could find out who it was before anybody else. And the interesting thing about that is that right when that interview started on day one, Nightwish tweeted out who it was. And at first, a lot of people were like, whoa, why did they charge for this? And then they just released it right away. The second that interview started, everybody posted it online already. Almost everybody in that VIP interview went online and told everybody they knew. There was already music websites that were reporting on it like seconds after it happened. So Nightwish tweeting it out was probably just getting ahead of all of that publicity and stuff and announcing it themselves. So no big deal. Now, as we all know now, because the live stream's over, the new bass player that is replacing Marco is Jukka Koskinen, and he's a Finnish bass player. He's most famous from being in Winter Sun, and he's also been in Norther and Kane's Offering and a few other bands. And I don't usually gloat much, but I fucking told you so, guys. 2-3 months ago, I was sitting here thinking who would make the most sense because there were a lot of rumors out there. And right away, Jukka was the first person. Now, I wasn't willing to bet on it, but he was the first person that really hit me as like, okay, he's from Finland. He's a great bass player. He's been in a band with Kai, their drummer, for years. It makes perfect sense. And honestly, I think it's a perfect fit, man. After watching that show and watching his bass playing, I was super impressed, man. I've always hailed Marco as a phenomenal bass player. But watching some of the stuff Jukka was doing, man, he fit right in. You could swear he's been playing with them for years. There were some specific parts of the live stream that I remember thinking like, holy shit, he's doing some wild bass runs right now. He's phenomenal. He's great. Now, we didn't see any vocals from him, but he said that in the interview, in the VIP beforehand. He said he wasn't going to be doing any vocals. He was just there to focus on the bass playing. So I wonder if when they start touring with him in the future, they're going to be letting him do vocals or not, because this could be a situation where it might have been short timing where they just told him, like, maybe do some vocals in the future, but for now, we're going to have you focus on the bass because we need the bass to be there. And speaking about his bass, let's talk some gear, man. Even in the old Winter Sun videos I've seen, Jukka has always been playing Ibanez, and he's usually playing the Ibanez SR models. SR from Ibanez stands for sound gear. It's one of their most popular bass models, and it's been around for quite a few decades. And the specific SR model that he was using in this video was the SR MS, MS standing for multiscale, 805. So basically he's playing a 5-string multiscale Ibanez SR bass, and it sounded fantastic, man. I was so impressed with the tones that he was getting, and they weren't over the top punchy or driving or anything like that. They were really clean, they were really crisp, and you could hear it really, really well in the mix. That's what I was most impressed by, because in a lot of stuff like this, the bass is usually buried pretty low, but I heard pretty much everything he was doing on this live stream, and I absolutely loved it. I'm honestly excited to see what he does live with this band, because his bass playing is great, and he is a good singer, so I'm curious to see if we're going to get some vocals from him eventually. And it's also funny because he is now the tallest person in this band, if I'm not mistaken, and when Emppu walked over to him at a couple points, it was kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. Overall, I thought this was a great choice, man. I cannot wait to see what they do with him in the future, because already after one live stream, it looked like they had great chemistry all together playing, and it sounded perfect. We'll just stay in the rhythm section and talk about Kai real quick. Now, Kai didn't really have a lot of change to any of his equipment that I've seen in past live videos and anything else I've checked out from Nightwish. Kai is an exclusive artist of Pearl Drums, more specifically, Pearl Drums Europe, because he's a European artist. Everything that Kai uses, with the exception of his cymbals for the most part, is all Pearl. He uses a Masterworks custom drum set. He's got a hybrid exotic snare from them, and he uses the Demon Chain pedals for his kick drums. Now, all of his hardware that you see up there too is all Pearl, the rack, the stands. Now, the interesting thing about the stands, and I'm going to have to go back and look, but I think I remember seeing a post from him or Nightwish saying that for this live stream, he had to replace all of his chrome hardware on his entire kit with like matte black finished hardware so it wouldn't interfere with any of the video stuff. That's a lot of work, man. To take out every lug and every hoop of all those drums and to replace all the cymbal arms and everything, man, that had to have been a pain in the ass. For cymbals, he's an exclusive artist of Meinl Cymbals, which is a German cymbal company and one of the biggest in the world. The majority of the cymbals he uses are the Byzance line, which is their more professional line that has a traditional sound. And all these cymbals on that line are hand-hammered in Turkey. He also uses Balbek's drumsticks, and he has his own signature stick. Now, Balbek's is actually not a big name in North America. I've really never seen them over here, but they're wildly popular in Europe. They were founded in 1997 in the Czech Republic, and they have distributors everywhere in Europe. So while they're not popular here where I live in North America, they're one of the most popular drumsticks in Europe. And I think Kai's drumming is incredible, man. I love the diversity that he has in his background. I first saw him when I did a reaction to Winter Sun, and I couldn't believe it, honestly. The guy was a machine. Then I saw him when he joined Nightwish, and he replaced their old drummer, Jukka. And I also thought that that was kind of cool that he replaced Jukka because they're friends, and they're buddies, and they've known each other forever, and it was just a good transition when Jukka couldn't play anymore. But this guy's background is insane, man. I've watched videos on YouTube of him ripping just straight up death metal and grindcore and a bunch of other stuff from back in the day. And it's amazing to me that a guy with this level of talent and variation is in this band, man. He is a world-class drummer, and he fits the band perfectly. I love watching him play. He makes it look effortless, and it's just really impressive. Let's talk Tuomas. Now, Tuomas is undeniably the genius behind Nightwish, and he's held to a very high standard. I mean, his nickname in the music community is Metal Mozart. The guy's compositions are incredible, and I think it's obvious to say that this band would not be what it is without him being in it. He founded the band. He's actually one of only 2 original members left, him and Emppu. And his writing with this band blows me away. You guys have seen in my reactions, I've been in tears in certain songs because emotionally it's just hit me. And especially in songs like Poet and the Pendulum, you can clearly see some of that genius with some of these little moments that he has, especially lyrically too, man. I just can't say enough about it. It's so impressive to me. But let's talk about gear. Now, Tuomas has been using Korg exclusively for a very long time. And I've even seen in interviews where he said it was about the time he was 16 when he first got his first Korg keyboard. Even before he was an exclusive artist of their brand, that's what he was sold on. That's what he used on everything. And I'm not the best in the world with keyboards. My experience is mostly guitars, bass, drums, stuff like that. But Tuomas is very well known for using a few of their models, and they were very distinguishable in this live performance because they are 2 that he uses all the time. So the bottom keyboard that he was using in this live performance is actually the Korg Kronos. It was released in 2011. It has 9 different synthesizer sound engines and is now Korg's flagship product. That is the product that they put at the top tier of their list, that they promote the most. And the top keyboard that he was using in this performance, and the one that he's probably most known for, is the Korg N364. Now, those were originally released in 1996. They've since been discontinued and basically replaced by the Triton. And even though it's not a direct replacement, the Triton can do pretty much everything the N364 can. However, there's a reason that Tuomas is still using the N364 instead of a Triton all the time. And I've seen in interviews, he said it's because it's got certain sound samples and certain sound banks that he prefers, that he likes more than some of the newer products. And that's why he continues to use it. And it was really cool to watch him play live, man. I mean, just seeing him sitting back there and smiling after he had admitted that he thought when Marco left, this was going to be the end of Nightwish. It was amazing to see him having fun and having a smile on his face and looking around and interacting with everybody. It makes me so happy that it's almost like a revitalized moment where you can see it in his face. Like, this band is not going anywhere. EV1. Musically, to me, Troy is probably the most interesting person in the band because with a lot of bands, you usually get a person that plays one specific instrument, maybe 2. But Troy is an insane multi-instrumentalist. Not only do we see him playing bagpipes, we see him playing whistles and flutes and guitar. And I mean, there's probably no end to what this guy can't play. It's super impressive, and I love watching him. On top of his musical performance, his vocals blew me away in this. He covered a lot of the parts that were usually sung by Marco, and he did a really good job. And he and Floor have a really good chemistry when they sing together. Now, the instrument that Troy is most known for is undoubtedly the Uilleann pipes. And the Uilleann pipes are a type of bagpipe, and that's not to be confused with the Great Highland bagpipes from Scotland. Because a lot of the times when people hear bagpipes, myself included, admittedly, my brain automatically goes to those type of bagpipes because they're the most popular. You see them all the time and they're very famous in pop culture. But the bagpipes are a family of instruments. They describe how the instrument is played. Now, the Uilleann pipes are actually the national bagpipe of Ireland, and they're played with the elbow. That's where the bag of air sits, under the elbow. And the term Uilleann pipe actually means pipe of the elbow. And on top of that, he's got so many low whistles and tin whistles and stuff like that. And I don't know a ton about those, so we can't spend any time on that, but it's so impressive with how quick he can switch stuff out while he's going. And then past all of that stuff, we see him often play an electric bouzouki from Filed Guitars, which is a guitar company from the UK. Now, the difference between a regular bouzouki and an electric is literally just a pickup. So this bouzouki that he's using has a pickup installed in it. It's got an input jack, so that way he can plug straight in and it doesn't have to be mic'd because it's acoustic or anything like that. And the guitar that we see Troy with in this live performance is a PRS, a Paul Reed Smith. It's a PRS Charcoal Burst Artist Pack Custom 24. Long name, sounds expensive, right? It is expensive. These guitars retail for anywhere between $4,000 and $5,000 US. The 24 in the name actually tells you how many frets are on the guitar. So with PRSs, if it's a custom 24, it's 24 frets. If it's a custom 22, it's 22 frets. But the question I got easily the most about what Troy's gear is in this live performance was what's the little thing that he's using and rubbing on his strings at certain points. That is actually an EBow, and I know a lot of Nightwish fans are already familiar with that, so this is for the ones that probably aren't. An EBow is an electronic bow or an energy bow. It'll change depending on who you're talking to. But those things have actually been around a lot longer than I think a lot of people would think. They were first made in like the late 60s, and then by the mid 70s, they were on the market, and a lot of artists have been using them. And they have a pickup in them, and it forces the strings on stringed instruments to vibrate, and it basically replicates a bow, literally, like on a fiddle or a violin. And it gives it a pretty distinct sound, and it only works on one string at a time while you're using it on a guitar, so that's why you see him moving it up and down. He's not actually picking the strings or plucking them, he's just holding it over each individual string that he's using. And it's really cool because it has a cool effect, and on a lot of EBow models that are new, they actually have a harmonic mode on it, which actually forces a higher harmonic noise rather than just the fundamental note that you hear on a lot of these uses of the EBow. So overall, it's really cool, man. I mean, Troy is so impressive because he can play so many different things, and he plays them really well, man. I wouldn't be surprised if you could just give this guy an instrument that he's never played, and within an hour, he's already playing it really well. He's been recording with Nightwish forever. There's a reason that they made him a permanent band member eventually. He belongs in this band, and he's so good at what he does. So obviously, those of you that know me, you know I'm not a vocal coach, and I don't know a lot about vocals. My expertise is instruments and production and stuff. So I don't know how Floor does what she does, but she does it really well, man. There were parts of this performance when, even though I've heard her hit this stuff on videos that I've watched on YouTube, just seeing this live and hearing some of these notes literally made me tear up. I was blown away by some of these parts. And then you think about the more impressive thing she was doing was covering a lot of Marco's parts in a lot of these songs, man. She was switching back and forth, doing stuff that she normally doesn't. Now, I know there's that constant argument about Nightwish singers and who's better, and it's usually between Floor and Tarja, or about them rather. And when I first discovered Nightwish, it was the Floor era. She's the first singer I ever heard with Nightwish. But when I went back and started watching old videos and saw Tarja for the first time, I could really appreciate that too, man. I get how the different eras of this band have progressed. Tarja obviously was a big part of how Nightwish originally got big and how they blew up. But I gotta say it, guys, you'd be stupid to not admit that Floor has a big part in why Nightwish is as big as they are right now in this current point in time. There's not a lot of other singers that I could even imagine filling her shoes right now. And it's not just the voice, it's the overall image and the attitude and everything. It just seems like one of those situations to me where they found the perfect singer for this band in the time period that they're in right now. And that doesn't take anything away from Tarja at all, man. I get why people talk about this kind of stuff. People like to pick favorites and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think we all need to just take a step back and learn to appreciate both eras of this and the Annette one as well. Because we've gotten 3 different eras of an incredible band with 3 very talented singers. And right now, we're getting a really, really good one, man. So I'll just end with my own personal thoughts on the entire experience and what I went through watching this. And overall, I thought it was incredible. While it wasn't a live concert experience with a crowd and stuff like that, it was still awesome to watch this band play for the very first time. One of the most exciting things for me in this whole experience was sharing it with others. Day one, I actually sat on Discord with a bunch of other people that had tickets to this, and we all watched on our own screens while we had Discord open on the other one, and we're discussing it with each other and watching each other get excited. And then after day two ended, my dad called me on the phone right away and was super excited, and we talked about the concert and everything, and it's like, these are the things about live music that I love, man. We get to share them with other people, and we get to discuss these things and share emotions, and it's just great overall, and I absolutely enjoyed the experience. For me on my end, again, I had no technical problems. I think the way that this was handled from the production team and everything that went into it was absolutely fantastic. And again, one of the most impressive live streams, if not the most impressive, I've seen during this whole pandemic while we're in this live stream concert era. And there was only one thing that I kind of got like infuriated about while I was watching, and it had nothing to do with the show. I saw a lot of people posting online just being overly critical of these guys while they were playing. Instead of just sitting back and enjoying everything that we're getting, there's a lot of people that are just looking for mistakes the whole time, and I don't understand that mentality. There's people complaining about, oh, they look like they have low energy, or they look like they're not having fun, or they don't know what they're doing, and I'm like, guys, this is uncharted territory for a lot of bands. They're playing in a room surrounded by a green screen with no crowd, trying to put on a show like they normally would without any of that energy there. They did fantastic, man. We should honestly be lucky enough that we even got this experience rather than talking about what we thought was wrong with it. Because for me, again, I thought it was a highly enjoyable experience. I would pay to see this again, no problem. So guys, this video is probably going to be long enough as it is, so I'm going to wrap it up. But this was kind of interesting to do. I felt like at times I might have been rambling a little bit. Maybe I'll fix some of that in the editing. But if this is something that you enjoyed, these live concert reviews, let me know. When shows start coming back, maybe I'll start doing live concert reviews or something like that. It could be fun. And if there's anything you didn't like about this video or you would like to know more about or think I should change, let me know in the comments below, man, because I want to make this something that's enjoyable for you guys that are taking the time to watch. But thank you one more time for taking that time to watch this. And if this is your first time here, feel free to click subscribe. This isn't my normal material, but if you did enjoy it, I do release tons of other videos all the time. If you liked this video, I would greatly appreciate the like, as it does help the channel. But if you disliked it, no big deal, man. Thank you for watching this time. You are free to click dislike. I'm also on a ton of different social media. I have a Discord server I hang out on. I hang out on the Nightwish Reacticide Discord a lot, which is Nightwish fans from all over the world. I have a Twitch account that I stream on all the time. If you're interested in any of the stuff I just mentioned, I'll throw the links in the description below. My handle on everything social media related is @TankTheTech. Thank you so very much for watching. I will be back very soon.